Hey guys, it's Mikayla and welcome back to another video. In this week's video, I'll be discussing some common topics surrounding when to apply to law school. This video will be focused on the timeline of law school applications, fee waivers, early admissions, and things of that nature. But if you're interested in me making videos on the actual components of a law school application, such as your LSAT score, personal statements, and letters of recommendation, stay tuned because I have videos coming on those as well. So with that being said, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so you do not miss out on those future videos, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified of when I post those videos. And with that, let's get into the video. So kicking it off with the basics, when should you apply to law school? All of the various law schools have different application deadlines. Some of them are due in March, some of them let you apply as late as July, and possibly further. So it completely depends on what law schools you're actually interested in applying to. But because of that, link down below, I will have a website that has all of the law school application deadlines listed so you do not miss it. But when should you actually apply? If a law school application isn't due until April, why would you apply in December? Well, the simple answer is the earlier you apply to a law school, the better chance you might have of getting in. And here's why. Early admissions aside, let's say you're just applying as a regular applicant in, say, February, right? And let's say your LSAT score and your GPA are average. They're in the 50th percentile or so, middle of the pack, right? If 100 people applied in January that have better credentials than you, then they most likely have already gotten in. But let's say those 100 people applied in March and you applied in February. Because the law school has not had the opportunity to potentially discover candidates that are stronger than you might get in. I'm not saying that the earlier you apply means you're going to be guaranteed anything, of course, but the earlier you apply, they're going to have your application and you're going to have less competition in that sense. Law schools accept on a rolling admission basis. So you can get into law school very shortly after you apply, or you can get into law school shortly before the actual semester starts. The earlier you apply though, the better your chances will probably be. Now, getting into specifics, some schools have what is called early admissions or an early decision. And that can mean something different depending on the schools you go to, but let me tell you about a specific program that the school I went to had. Now, with the caveat that things might have changed since I applied a few years ago, when I applied to one of the schools I applied to, you had to sign a contract in essence that said, if we accept you into our school, you're going to our school. It's kind of one of those, hey, we want to make sure that we're your number one choice so that when we accept you and we give you some scholarship money and such, you actually come here. And this particular school for me is one that I knew I was going to be happy going to if I were to get a full scholarship or a high scholarship. So I agreed to the early admission process. And something crazy that still shocks me to this day as well is I applied to this law school and I got a phone call from the dean 6 days later with my acceptance. If anyone is interested in the specific time period and the specific date I applied, you can comment it down below and I'll go find it for you. But I believe that I applied in November. I want to say their early admission cutoff was December and I applied in November. So again, some schools will have an early admission cutoff period. And if you apply within that early period, you have a better chance of getting in. There's just less applicants to choose from. This is not to say that you can't apply later and that you can't apply in the months prior to the deadline. But if you know you want to go to law school and you know where you want to go to law school and where you want to apply, you should apply as early as possible. There is never too early of a time to apply after the application period begins. Another reason you should apply as early as possible is because you have more time to weigh your options. The schools that you've applied to later might not get their decision back to you in enough time. Let's say you've gotten into school A, right? School A has offered you admission to the law school class and you have 2 months to accept or decline their offer. Law school B might not get back to you within those 2 months if you apply later on. So the earlier you apply and the closer you apply to all of the schools you're going to, the higher chance you're going to have a fair shot of weighing all of them equally. You definitely don't want to be in a position where you kind of want to go to this school because they accepted you, but you really want to go to this school, but this school hasn't gotten back to you and this school needs an answer, and now you commit to this school and this school ends up getting back to you too late, if that makes sense. So I believe most law school applications open around the September-October timeframe. Again, I will have the specific dates linked down below, but if it's around this time, we're sitting at the end of October now, you should be thinking about getting those applications in as soon as possible if you want to give yourself the best chance of getting in and getting some scholarship money. While we're on the topic of getting accepted, if you get the opportunity to be put on a wait list, I always recommend you be put on that wait list, especially if it's free and it doesn't cost any monetary commitments to be put on it. You truly never know what's going to happen, and while you may be holding out for your perfect dream school, you really never always know if you're going to get in. And having other options, having that buffer and something to fall into if you need it is always a good idea. CYA. In my next video, I'll be going into a lot more detail about what law schools you should actually be applying to and how to make that decision. But for today, I really just wanted to get it out there that if you're not applying, you should be getting your applications together as soon as possible. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about today are fee waivers. Not only is law school not cheap, applying to law school can be a little expensive too, especially if you're applying to a lot of them. So with that being said, if you guys are unaware, there are something called fee waivers. Every single law school you will apply to will have a fee associated with that, and sometimes you can get those fees waived. A lot of the time people get fee waivers for financial assistance reasons, but you don't always have to have a financial need to get a fee waiver. When I was an undergrad, my school had a law school fair type thing, and at that fair, all of the different law schools were there to promote their law school. And at a lot of those booths, they had fee waivers they were handing out. And if I didn't see one, I asked. So that's number one. If you guys have the opportunity to attend a law school fair, they will probably have fee waivers there, and you should always, always, always ask for one. But let's say your school doesn't have a law school fair, or let's say the school you want to go to wasn't at the fair. Email the admissions office and ask for a fee waiver. It sounds weird, like why would they give me a fee waiver just for asking? But a lot of the time they will, and people don't actually think to do that. And trust me, that $30 to $60 to however many dollars you're spending per application adds up. So get as many fee waivers as you can, and if you do not have one readily available to you, ask your school that you personally go to, or ask the school that you're thinking about applying to. And that is about it for today. I wanted to give you all a preliminary video just on applying to law school in its most basic form. But if you have any specific questions, be sure to comment them down below. And again, there will be a lot more law school related videos coming in the future, so subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon with a brand new one. Goodbye and go thrive.